continue to reclaim.
Welcome to Special Stage Extra. On this show, plenty of top UK rally action. But first, it's time for the opening round of the 2015 MSA Welsh Rally Championship, a title they all want to get their hands on. Alex Allingham got his hands on it last time. He's here at the opening round, the 40th running of the Wydeen Rally, based at Chepstow in Wales. And let's join the action on the stages now as the fight for that Welsh title starts. New faces in the championship this season. Hugh Hunter and Andy Marchbank would make a good start here at round one, but not perfect. Handling issues with the car were causing a few moments, shall we say, along the way to that lead. Bob Keane and Andy Bull were not without their problems either. Punctures would be stopping them making any further advance on the leaders, but for now, second was a good start considering. Roland Llewellyn and Jamie Edwards had enjoyed some good results last year, and this year is starting well too. Third place for now and leading the way in that Group N battle. A lead they held over this pair, Paul Davey and Roger Allen. The times were close, and after 4 stages there would only be 6 seconds in it. Sadly, we'd lose Alex Allingham and Alan Cook out this weekend in the event sponsors car and in the B13 class. But it wasn't to be. Electrical problems, meaning they pull over on stage 2. And for Jim McNeil and Tony Bassett, it will be throttle cable problems, meaning stage 1 is as far as they would get. It would be a bit further for Neil Matthews and Keaton Williams in the other Ravenel sponsored car, but sadly last minute attempts to get the car here in time meant problems, and the pair would eventually go OTL despite finishing the event. An ideal start to the event though for Jason Morgan and Dan Neroda as they get to this point in 5th overall and leading the way as well in Class 8. And it will be Dylan Davies and Leon Williams lying second in that class. The first time back out in the car in many months, so it will be a steady start for the pair. A good run comes to an end though for Bob Morgan and A.D. Williams when they suffer a blown turbo in stage 4. And there'll be problems too for Peter Stevenson and Chris Williams. Expecting to be a lot closer to the top, the pair are forced to settle for 7th place for now. Martin and Dawn England were struggling a little this weekend, the car not feeling quite right. For now though, the pair were lying in 8th place and 3rd in the Class 8 runners. Just behind them in the class and overall results were Craig Golder and John Kane, 4th in Class 8 and 9th overall. Mark Griffiths and Will Rogers will be lying in 10th at this stage, but only scoring points for co-driver Will this weekend. So that meant 10th in the driver standing for John Ballinger and Mike Wilding as they round out the top of the results with the Class 6 lead. Harry Gardner and Elliot Graham, meanwhile, were settling in here at round 1. Not an ideal start, but the pair lie just outside the top 10 in 11th for now. Jamie Dukes and Dave Williams have a good run, if not a little steady on the opening stages. They lie in 12th overall and 2nd in the class behind Ballinger. Dave and Freddie Brick returned this season in the Nova once again, and it was an ideal start, leading Class 3 going into the afternoon stages. And it would also be the class lead for David Dobson and Phil Sando. They open up a lead in Class 5 in the Escort. Thomas Lloyd and Sherrin Roberts make a great start on the event to end this morning in 15th overall. And of course, they lead that class. David Lloyd Roberts and Di Jones end the morning 2nd in Class 5, just a couple of places behind class rival Dobson up ahead. And for Jordan and Paul Hone, it will be a few places down on the overall results than class leader Dave Brick, but the pace was there to keep fighting for that class result. Kit and Tim Lee would this weekend have to settle for 2nd in Class 4 at this stage in the rally anyway, but things were still going well in 18th overall on the leaderboard. Just the one crew entered in Class 7, so it would be the lead for John O'Gorman and Neil James as they line 19th on the leaderboard. And it will be 20th for John Baker and Ian Jones, third in Class 5 at this stage in the Escort. James Hutchings and James Hood had a bit of a moment on one of the stages, but that wasn't stopping a push. They lie third in the class now and 21st overall. And in 22nd were Kieran Darrington and Pamela Hilton, a steady run to lie third in the class behind home. Another class with just one crew is Class 1, so it's the lead for Thomas Bayliss and Joe Jones. Sadly, we lose Gary and Thomas Bollins with a blown turbo in the early stages of the rally. And it will be a more dramatic end to the event for Gareth and Errol Evans as they crash out on a bumpy section in stage 2. So midway through the day, and it's Hugh Hunter with a small but comfortable lead. However, there was still half the rally to go. On to the afternoon then and the overall results. And in 28th overall were Thomas Bayliss and Joe Jones, the pair only needing this result for the class win. Sadly, we lose Kit and Tim Lee, a gearbox mount breaking on the car in stage 7. So that means promotion up the class results for James Hutchings and James Hood, now taking advantage of the loss of Lee to take second in the class by the end of the rally. No change in Class 3, it's a clean and steady run for Kieran Darrington and Pamela Hilton. They take a podium place in that class. And it will be the final step on the podium in Class 5 for John Baker and Ian Jones, the Escort pair finishing in 18th overall. Just the one crew in Class 7, and that means that John O'Gorman and Neil James end the event with the class win and 17th overall. Jordan and Paul Hone don't manage any further advance up the class results. They ended a second in Class 3 and 16th overall. It's 15th overall for Thomas Lloyd and Sherrin Roberts, the pair taking the Class 4 victory that they'd held all day. But it wasn't without a near miss on the final stage, when the pair almost threw it all away. It will be close at the top of Class 5 with David Lloyd Roberts and Di Jones coming out second. A gap of only 15 seconds at the end of the event separating them from the class winners. And those Class 5 winners this weekend were David Dobson and Phil Sandham. A good result for the pair in 13th overall. Just less than half a minute will be the difference in Class 6 for Jamie Dukes and Dave Williams. They end the event second in the class and 12th overall. Craig Golder and John Kane sadly slipped down the order a little in the afternoon stages. The pair slipped to 5th in the class, just outside the top 10 overall now. That due in part to the advance of the results for Harry Gardner and Elliot Graham. I told you to watch them, getting a little more confident as the day went on, and they move up to round out the top 10 overall, 4th in the class. Dave and Freddie Brick have a great run this weekend to get the car inside the top 10 in 9th place and take the Class 3 win in the process. And it's a great start to the season for John Ballinger and Mike Wilding as they end the event in 8th, taking the Class 6 victory. Not the result that Peter Stevenson and Chris Williams would have wanted, but 7th overall and 3rd in the class wasn't a bad start to the season. Certainly something to build on at future rounds. Martin and Dawn England, meanwhile, could have hoped for a bit more luck with the car, ending the event in 6th place, taking 3rd though in Class 8. Mark Griffiths helps co-driver Will Rogers to some good overall and class points in the co-drivers championship though, with 6th place. Time out of the car hadn't seemed to be much of a problem for Dylan Davies and Leon Williams. They end the event in 5th overall and 2nd in Class 8. A class that was won by Jason Morgan and Dan Nieroda in the Evo, 4th overall and some good points for the season opener. Sadly, we lose Roland Llewellyn and Jamie Edwards in stage 7 when they lose oil pressure. And that means the day-long battle for the Group N win would go the way of Paul Davey and Roger Allen. They take the class victory as well as third overall. Punctures earlier in the day set the mood for Bob Keane and Andy Poole. They are unable to climb any further up the results, but take a fantastic second place finish. But taking the win here at round one were event-long leaders Hugh Hunter and Andy Marchbank. The pair not fully happy with the setup on the Subaru, but it clearly didn't affect the times too much this weekend. So at the end of the rally, here's a reminder of the overall results. Dave, Freddie, fantastic way to start your Welsh Championship campaign.
Yeah, had a really cracking day, to be fair. It was slippy this morning, but conditions got a bit better, so it's easier to stay on the road in the afternoon.
It is always a tough event, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it just seemed to go right for us today, somewhere along the line. It was cracking, sitting next to him as well. I don't think he listens to anything I say, but that's how it is. I got used to that after the first.
It seems to work, doesn't it? Whatever. Well done, guys. Fantastic start to the year.
Yeah, no, cheers.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you.
Top action, as was to be expected then, here at the Wydene, as the title fight for the Welsh Rally Championship kicked off. Join us after the break here at Special Stage Extra for more top rally action from the UK. A cold and icy start faced the crews at this year's Riponian stages, and it would prove to be a tricky event for everyone, including early rally leaders Charlie Payne and Andrew Roughhead. The pair have a few moments on the early stages on the unseen ice, but luckily still show enough pace to lead the event by the midway point. Peter Stevenson was back after his Welsh Championship outing, this time with Ian Windress alongside. Things going better for the event sponsor this weekend as they lie in second at this stage. Ian Joel and Graham Wood would be another to get caught out by this slippery corner, coming away with cosmetic damage to the Escort, but lying third at this stage. Tom Preston and Jamie Forrest make a good start to the rally, up as high as fourth. But sadly that would all be over when the car wouldn't start at the beginning of stage 7. The pair would have to call it a day. Reigning Silver Star champions in the BTRDA, of course, Matthew Robinson and Sam Collis have a great start to the event to lie in 4th overall. And of course leading the way as well in the historic cruise out on this weekend's rally. Andy Rowe and Kat Lund end the morning stages in 5th. It was a good run so far for the pair in the older spec Evo 2. Nick Cook and Gemma Champion, meanwhile, will be the fastest of the non-historic two-wheel drive crews. They lie in 6th place overall, leading the way in Class C. With their BTRDA campaign not underway yet, it will be a good start to the season and a good test here for Matt Smith and Giles Dykes this weekend, with 7th overall at this stage and 1st in Class A. Nick Dobson and Steve Pugh were pushing on right from the start in the Escort, but they were another caught out by the slippery first stage. A bit of damage to the back of the car, but they go on to lie in 8th overall and 2nd in the class. Charlie Taylor and Alan Ward were the 2nd of the historic crews at this stage, 9th overall and 2nd in the H3 class for the pair. And rounding out the top 10 were Chris Hay and Sally Peacock in the Escort, the pair lying 3rd in Class C behind Dobson. Paul Street and Jim Goodman have a good run on the morning stages, apart from the opening one. Like many, they spent some time up a bank, but for now it was 3rd in the H3 class and 11th on the leaderboard. It will be the early Class B lead for Barry Lindsay and Caroline Lodge, the pair also lying in 14th overall in the Peugeot. Ben Cree and Richard Shawes would take up 2nd in that class. The pair were a few places further back on the overall results, though, in 16th. And there would be a bit more of a difference for Michael Davison and Chris Dodds, who take up third in that class, but back in 37th overall. Not a very big entry in the H1 and H2 class, so the crews would be combined. And it would be Barry Jordan and James Grattan-Smith ending this morning in the lead of that class in 22nd overall. They'd have a good lead over James Grayson and Simon Spinks, who end the morning second in the class, down in 48th. With Matt Smith out ahead in Class A, it will be second place in the class for Dan and Matthew Thompson at this stage, as they lie in 23rd overall. And it's third in the class for Amanda Cornforth-Smith and Derek Cornforth, as they finish this morning just 11 seconds behind Thompson. Ian Jemison and Dean Kellett would have an early lead in Class D, as the pair lie in 25th on the leaderboard in the Porsche. And second in the class behind Jemison were John Finch and Paul Vasey, just over 30 seconds back in 28th. It was a steady run meanwhile, with no problems for Simon Cole and Joe Hutchinson. They take third in Class D for now, lying a few places back in 33rd overall. Unfortunately for Richard Sykes and Simon Taylor, the debut in the new car wasn't really going to plan. In fact, it was quite frustrating, quite a disastrous start, the pair almost going over on the same slippery corner that caught out so many others, only to put the car on its side a little later on. They still continue with the help of the spectators though, and line 42nd, 5th in Class D. Stage 1 would be the end of the road for David Gathercole and Thomas Alexandrovich after they damaged the car and are unable to continue. So at the end of the morning stages, the results look like this. On to the afternoon stages then, and as well as a change in the weather on the later stages, there were some changes in the results too. The snow would get the better of Larry Carter and Tony Walker. They slide off the stage, caught on camera by one of our viewers. Luckily though, they do continue and finish in 39th overall. But no change for James Grayson and Simon Spinks. They continue as they were to take second in the H2 class and 43rd on the leaderboard. Andrew Thorpe and Paul Newton end the event in 37th, with a finish of third in Class B. It will be bad news though for the Porsche of Ian Jemison and Dean Kellett. They slipped down to third in Class D, 29th overall, not where they were hoping to have finished this rally. Amanda Cornforth-Smith and Derek Cornforth keep hold of their third in Class A to the finish, ending the day 23rd overall. No change for John Finch and Paul Vasey meanwhile. Despite movement around them in the class, it would still be second for the pair and 22nd on the leaderboard. And taking that Class D victory despite all of the earlier mishaps were Richard Sykes and Simon Taylor. The class win was theirs, but they would have been looking to be higher than 21st overall, I'm sure. Simon Green and Andy Pullen have a good steady run, settling into being in the car with each other, and a new delivery of notes as well. They end the event 20th overall and 4th of the Class E runners. For Dan and Matthew Thompson, it would be where they started, which was good because the pair finished the event with a very respectable second in Class A and 18th overall. A good result for Barry Jordan and James Grattan-Smith, finishing first in the H2 class. Barry probably having more finishes and indeed more good results since switching to that Avenger. And Ben Cree and Richard Shaw's finished the event with second in Class B and 14th on the leaderboard. In Class C, it will be Andy Gibson and Chris Patterson taking the final step on the podium, third in the class and 12th overall. Barry Lindsay and Caroline Lodge finished just outside the top 10 in 11th, taking the Class B victory in the process though. On to that top 10 then, and in 10th place it will be Pete Smith and Matt Edwards, the cadet pair moving into that position on the afternoon stages. And it will be 9th for Chris Hay and Sally Peacock, taking second in Class C. Sadly, we lose Nick Dobson and Steve Pugh when they retire in stage 12. So it's an 8th place finish for Paul Street and Jim Goodman. A good result for the pair after just ensuring a finish through those snowy final stages. And just ahead of Street, taking 2nd in the H3 class, will be Charlie Taylor and Alan Ward. They end the rally in 7th overall too. Matt Smith and Giles Dykes have a great run to end the event in 6th overall, and of course the pair take that Class A win. It's a Class C win for Nick Cook and Gemma Champion. They finished the event in 5th. And it will be a 4th place finish for Andy Rowe and Kat Lund, the Evo pair taking 3rd in Class E. Ian Joel and Graham Wood, meanwhile, managed to keep the car on the road for the rest of the day, taking a podium place, but sadly, they'd have to settle for 3rd, the place they'd held since the start though. Unfortunately, we lose Peter Stevenson and Ian Windress when the throttle sensor breaks on the Focus in stage 11. But this does mean for Matthew Robinson and Sam Collis, it will be 2nd. Great going for the pair, who also, of course, take the highest place historic award on this event. But for this weekend, it will be victory for Charlie Payne and Andrew Roughhead. Seat time in the car was proving to be working, and the pair come away with the victory and some confidence to take into the next round of the BTRDA Rally Championship, of course. So at the end of the Riponian Rally, here's a reminder of the overall results.
I'm sure you'll agree. Another episode of Special Stage Extra crammed with top rally action. More of that next time on Special Stage. Thanks for watching.
Five right slots in and 6 right continued over there.